Hey guys, welcome to Solo ReacTalk. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video requested. It's called Trazyn the Infinite, Warhammer 40K Necrons Lore by Baldermort's Guide to Warhammer. If you want to check out my other reactions to Baldermort's videos, remember the playlist card will be at the top. Just click on it and be able to access them. Okay, let's start. 3, 2, 1, go.
Greetings, gentle listener. I am Baldermort. Today, I would like to introduce you to Trazyn the Infinite, the most prominent member of the Nihilak dynasty. The Nihilak dynasty.
Okay, the Nihilak dynasty. Alright, I didn't know that Trazyn actually belonged to a dynasty. I thought like he was just a one-man army who did what he wanted whenever he wanted. And that he never, answered to anyone but himself. So this is interesting.
He is based from the crown world of Geeden, under the command of Pharaon Crispek. The Nihilak dynasty are known as the Sentinels of Eternity. Regal and glorious in battle, the Nihilak are fiercely territorial. Only at the close of the 41st millennium have they turned their attention outwards, planning a new campaign of slow, relentless expansion. Woe to the army that trespasses upon the domains of the Nihilak. In times of antiquity, the dynasty built vast treasure worlds filled with wealth plundered from 1,000 civilizations.
Wow, they kind of have the same modus operandi of Trazyn, to plunder valuable artifacts and creatures and other kind of stuff and then put them in their trophy rooms. So yeah, they're quite similar. Yeah.
When the Nihilak awoke from hibernation, it was to find their once mighty realm in ruins. Looking inwards, the dynasty gathered what strength they still possessed to their own crown world, Geeden. Now they jealously guard the remaining wonders of their empire, shoring up their borders against all intrusion. The dynasty's cryptex have recently begun the construction of strange monolithic arrangements along the frontier of Nihilak space, though what purpose these creations serve is as yet unclear. It is said that the splendors of the Nihilak treasure houses eclipse those of all other dynasties combined, and their armaments attest to this. Arrogant and proud, the dynasty's overlords ensure that none forget the great wealth of their people, nor the military strength that comes from it. They have their cryptex work precious turquoise and jewels into the armor of the legions, and often carry prized relics into battle, borne upon their war machines as reminders of their ancient triumphs and glory. Greatest among the dynasty's treasures.
So not only are they rich, but they use their own artifacts that they've plundered and used over the centuries in war. Okay.
Is the Yith Seer, the preserved head of an alien prophet who was the last of its race. Using neurographic resonators to peer into the prophet's mind, the overlords have witnessed the future of their race. It has to be a future of unavoidable combat and conflict, for the Nihilak are gathering their legions for war.
How far can this severed head see? How far into the future can it see? Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting collection, kind of nasty. But yeah, I'm just wondering how far can this prophecy severed head see into the future.
The regal gold and turquoise of the Nihilak are worn not just by their highest rank members, but also its warriors, for its overlords would find it distasteful to wage war with weapons that did not in some way proclaim their considerable wealth. The overlords and lords of Nihilak wear personal glyphs reflecting a segment of their dynasty's icon. Only the Pharaon is permitted to bear the icon in its entirety. Often, this personal symbol will signify the part of his dynasty's domain that the lord presides over. On lesser warriors, these glyphs are worn in gold upon turquoise. On more valued servants, these colours are reversed. The Nihilak favour a...
So, literally from the lowest member all the way up to the highest, everybody is wearing bling. everybody's wearing expensive jewels, gold probably, and other forms of rare metal. Wow. Okay.
Strict military hierarchy. Their phalanx markings are simplified versions of the overarching dynastic glyph. Amongst the many artifacts of the Nihilak dynasty, the Time Splinter Cloak is their most precious. Fashioned by the chronomancers of the Nihilak dynasty, this relic grants the bearer the ability to alter their destiny. This glittering shroud is formed from slivers of crystallized time, and the bearer can expend the power of these shards to glimpse a matrix of potential futures. The knowledge granted...
So not only do they have a severed head that can see into the future, but they also have technology that can cut through slivers of time to change their own fate or destiny. Wow. Okay. Necrons. The Nihilak dynasty. Wow. Okay. Oof.
By this foresight allows them to perform incredible feats in battle. The Nihilak dynasty differs from others because of its institution of aggressively territorial tactics. Regal and arrogant, the warriors of this proud dynasty will not give a single inch to their foes. They stand their ground defiantly, unleashing formidably accurate hail of fire that cleanses the stain of the lesser races from their rightful lands. Though he be not the actual Pharaon, the person who is considered to be the most important, and certainly the best known, of all of the Nihilak dynasty is Trazyn the Infinite, the self-styled archivist of the Solemnus Galleries. Trazyn is a preserver of histories, artifacts, and events. The vast and numberless vaults burrowed through the tomb world of Somnus are crowded with technology so rare and sublime that any Adeptus Mechanicus tech priest would give the lives of several close colleagues just to know that they existed. It is a hoard ever growing, for history is...
Yeah, I can imagine that happening, really.
always on the march, and Trazyn strives to keep apace. Alas, not many worlds willingly give up the artifacts Trazyn seeks, selfishly clutching on to the few meaningful things in their civilization, rather than offering them up to be preserved through the ages. In such circumstances, Trazyn has little choice but to muster his armies and take them by force. If this results in the...
He has armies? Wow, okay. I really thought that this guy was like a loner. You know, he just goes by himself. He does everything by himself. He collects whatever he wants by himself. You know, he doesn't have any entourage behind him. But, okay, interesting. He has an army.
Destruction of a city, a planet, or an entire sector. So be it. Most impressive of all Somnus's wonders are the prismatic galleries. Winding chambers of statuary recapturing events from history that Trazyn deems worthy of preservation. The prismatic galleries are populated not with mere sculpture, but living beings transmuted into hard-light holograms by arcane technology. Some such statues are nothing less than the original enactors of history, frozen in the moment of triumph or defeat, and whisked away to Solnus to forever stand as testaments to their deeds. Occasionally a statue may be destroyed by cruel happenstance, but such events drive Trazyn to frustration, for he must halt his search for fresh acquisitions and seek out replacements. Of course, few...
Yeah, but then, this guy... I mean, like, why? Why collect so many of these, you know, living beings? I can understand artifacts, right? But not living beings. Like, why? For what? Exactly. I mean, like, after he's collected them, does he view them on his free time? Does he view these collections that he has? Or exactly what is his main objective in doing all of this? Because he's not really preserving anything. He's just, I don't know, like he's stagnating things, you know? I don't know. I don't know how to explain what I'm thinking in my head right now, but yeah, his motives are not very clear to me.
The statues are replaceable, but there are no rules to Trazyn's galleries, save that those that he himself decides upon. If he decrees that one of the hardlight tableaux must fulfill its function with substitutes, however inaccurate, then he will acquire them. Fully 1/10 of his Death of Lord Solar Macarius gallery is populated by holographic Imperial Guardsmen whose uniforms are 300 years astray from historical fact, but Trazyn cares more for the spectacle than the details. Once Trazyn has resolved to refresh his galleries, he does so with great urgency. Depending on the scale of losses, replenishment might be achieved by a few possible kidnappings, by low-flying night sides, or possibly through a more substantial mobilization of force. Nor are Tomb Worlds immune to Trazyn's attention. Trazyn makes little distinction between artifacts held on alien worlds and those possessed by his own kind.
Man, this guy is a menace to society. He is a menace to society, even more worse than the warp, I would, assume. Because not only is he an enemy to the humans, but he's also an enemy to all other species of alien across the galaxy, and also to his own people. He's a troublemaker. Hey.
The resulting indiscreet liberations have rendered him unwelcome on several Tomb Worlds. He is forbidden entirely from the catacombs of Mandragora under pain of death, and permitted on Mobius on the strict understanding that his arrival will only benefit the Nexist dynasty. That Trazyn is rarely discovered before he is ready to make his move says rather more about the insular nature and selective knowledge of other Necrons than it does his own aptitude for subterfuge. Even on Orc-held planets, Trazyn goes to great pains to keep his identity a secret. He knows full well that his activities have come to the attention of certain rogue traders and inquisitors. After all, the Imperium's tangled history presents something of an irresistible lure. Nonetheless, while he remains confident in his ability to outwit the plots and snares of primitive humans, Trazyn's paranoia is still his true master. Trazyn commonly conducts his campaigns through surrogates, substitute bodies into which he can pour his will. Should the body suffer catastrophic damage, Trazyn's essence simply returns to his true form.
Wow, so this guy, it'll be very hard to find him. Like the original Trazyn, it'll be very, very hard to find him. Because you'll be dealing with doppelgangers, or you'll be dealing with secret agents that he assumes control of, So we don't even really know what he truly looks like. He might not actually look like a Necron like this. He might be some sort of like an octopus, a mechanical octopus, with one eye or something, Interesting.
Into another surrogate. Many of these are actually Necron lords or overlords in their own right who, unbeknownst to them, have had their bodies subverted by Trazyn. Should he need to occupy such a body, he can do so easily, as he could any other surrogate. The regular occupant's will is suppressed, and the body itself instantly morphs into an exact facsimile of his primary form.
And he only assumes direct control of other Necrons, right? Not other artificial intelligence species across the galaxy that still exist, maybe, I don't know, like during the times of, the dark ages of mankind. I don't know how many Men of Iron still exist, if they ever do still exist, I don't know. Maybe he's able to control them, or, any other species of artificial intelligence. But yeah, it's quite interesting that he's able to manipulate even his own kind this way, and use them as a surrogate for his plans.
Yet these days of caution and plotting are fast passing by. The raucous din of war grows louder in every corner of the galaxy, consuming temples, cities, worlds, and even entire races long before Trazyn has had the opportunity to catalogue and rescue all that is worth saving.
Rescue.
Thus, for the first time in millions of years, Trazyn is mobilizing the full might Solemnus, the better to secure entire planets from the onset of ignorant barbarians. Already a score of the Imperium's worlds are under occupation by Trazyn's forces, the inhabitants subjugated by his implacable minions. The legions of Solemnus show no sign of stopping.
Okay, so what do they do with these conquered worlds? I mean, are the humans there suffering, or are they going to be shown as exhibits? What's going to happen to those people?
The prismatic galleries. These are some of the most prized possessions of Trazyn and consist of holographic events recapturing events from history deemed worthy of preservation. These galleries are not populated by mere sculpture, but by conscious living beings transmuted into holographs themselves. The last High Council of Itere Craft World, an exhibition showcasing the massacres of Tragus, a warband of orcs attacking an unknown blue-shelled invertebrate xenos species. The Catacombs of Calth during the Underground War, an exhibition labelled The Death of Lord Solar Macarius, a Catan shard that Trazyn has called the source of his power and the crown jewel of his collection, a Wraithbone Choir of Altansar, the preserved head of Sebastian Thor, the ossified husk of an enslaver, a giant man wearing Baroque-powered armour, Brother Cassiel of the Blood Angels, who was seconded to the Death Watch. His face was frozen in a moment of fear. The Karnak World Spirit, the shrine by which all Eldar souls of that planet were held. Katajan regiments in their entirety are held there also. A temporal device containing the Tyranid invasion of Vuras has been saved by Trazyn himself. Horus Heresy-era Ultramarines, lost Tanith regiments, salamanders thought lost during the Clovian disaster, a Custodes. The Bell of St. Gersal.
Even a Custodes? Man, now I'm wondering, when is he going to collect the Emperor? I mean, if he can collect one of the Emperor's most powerful bodyguards, like the powerful bodyguard, a Custodian, if he can collect that, then what's stopping him from, going straight to Terra and, just acquiring the Emperor for preservation? Man, this guy is a menace. He is dangerous.
And that is a story we shall get to in a moment. He also has other things of wonder and terror. He used to have a stockpile of uncorrupted Emperor's Children gene seed, but traded this with Fabius Bile for a perfect clone of the Primarch Fulgrim. He has Harlequin troops, a damaged but still functioning webway portal, but by far the most interesting to me, Baldermort, is a Krork, in power armor more advanced than any used by the present Astartes.
A Krork, isn't that an orc? But a far more advanced level of the orcs. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Wow, with power armor. Interesting.
The luminaries of the Nihilak dynasty. The other members of the dynasty are not as high profile as Trazyn, but no less important. Their Pharaon is Krispek. Recently, he has put an end to the historic isolationism of the dynasty and ordered his legions to begin a campaign of expansion. Amuntaef is a Necron overlord of the Nihilak dynasty whose forces clashed with the Adeptus Custodes shield host known as the Fury of Terror sometime after the Great Rift's creation. Despite also having the aid of Trazyn the Infinite, Amuntaef's forces were easily defeated by the Custodes, who were led into the battle by Captain General Trazyn Valoris himself. Kipak is a Necron overlord of the Nihilak dynasty. He and his forces were awoken by excavations on the mining world of Adakor in the 984th year of the Millennium 41, resulting in the Adakor exterminations. Tarek, also known as Tarek the Undying, is of the Nihilak dynasty also. Though at one point he was a mighty overlord who ruled over many of the Nihilak tomb worlds, following the Star-Heart Wars against the Eldar, his power base was shattered, and he has since plotted his revenge. Now ruling over the tomb world of Kadrim, Tarek largely ignores the puny human settlements on the world and set about reactivating a millennia-old superweapon in order to carry out the wishes of Pharaon Crispek in launching a new wave of expansion. However, when Kadrim came under assault from both Orc and White Scar forces, Tarek was forced to act against the invaders. In the resulting Battle of Kadrim, Tarek was nearly victorious. However, his personal Catacomb command barge was destroyed by a Space Marines dreadnought in the final assault against the fleeing White Scars. As he self-repaired, a volley of melter torpedoes from an orbiting strike cruiser vaporized the Overlord. And so, gentle listener, we draw it all together. Trazyn is estimated to have lost nearly half of his collection due to the destruction wrought by the Bell of St. Gestal, with its 13 tolls marking the coming of the 13th Black Crusade. Despite being in a container as secure as a stasis crypt, the bell set off shock waves, which increased with each ring, an impossibility that Trazyn is attempting to work out, and one that forced him to Cadia to investigate.
Okay, so these bells were ringing. I don't know how were they ringing, who rang them. They destroyed some of his collections, and then that's what pushed him to go to Cadia to investigate what was going on. Okay, I thought he was going to Cadia to, collect more, specimens for his collection. But I guess he just went there to investigate what was going on.
Destruction of his collection, its halls, and even the world on which it resided was catastrophic. Some of the stasis fields burst, and segments of his collections went on rampages and destroyed even more of his life's work. As such, the Great Collector may change tack. In his desperation to make up for the damage done to his collection, he could decide that quality must replace quantity.
I thought it was like that the whole time, always picking quality things. Considering how old and how important many of these things that he's been collecting are, I would consider all of that as quality instead of quantity, but okay. He's going far more personal now.
If this is so, then nobody and nothing in the galaxy is safe. Trazyn is now an unpredictable, erratic, and very real threat to every political entity in the galaxy. In his wake he could leave a shattered faction, as each of their leaders could be entered onto his list to be acquired at any time, for each in their own right are unique, and now more so than ever. Trazyn collects the rarest of the rare, the unique and interesting, and he will not be gainsaid.
Can he collect warp creatures, like warp demons, chaos demons? Can he collect something as powerful and as confusing as those kind of creatures? I'm wondering about that. That would be very interesting if we could do that.
None can know what the future will bring, or if the forces of the Imperium, Eldar, Tau, Chaos, or Orc can stop the armies of the Necrons. But what is known is that if the Nihilak and Trazyn strike in surprise with enough force, then there is little that can stop them.
And the Tyranids? What about them?
When prepared, perhaps, but if not even warned, unlikely at best, laughable at worst. For which army encampment, which bastion or base could resist the infiltration of 100 score death marks, or 1,000 Lichguard and 10 times that number of wraiths stalking their halls and corridors in the blink of an immortal eye? Who could resist Trazyn when he is roused to collect? For there are so many rare and unique individuals now walking the galactic stage. It only takes one informant, one mistake, to draw any of these luminaries to the attention of the Collector. What would happen if Commander Farsight does indeed develop an affinity with the warp in the Psychic Awakening? The first of his species to do so, could the Enclaves stop the forces of the Nihilak? What would happen if Trazyn heard of Ivrain, the first Eldar awoken by Inyad? What would happen to her fledgling state, were she to be removed now at its birth?
Nah, man, this guy is just too overly powered. The things he could do, I mean, really, this is scary. He would literally shake the political structure of the galaxy, you know. Like I said, what if he abducted the Emperor of mankind? What happens then? Hey. And I'm sure he knows about his existence by now. He knows about the Emperor. So I'm assuming maybe it's just a matter of time before he decides, okay, you know what? Let me go and take this prize, you know, this very important prize. The humans will collapse, but I don't care as long as I get the Emperor.
What would happen if Trazyn heard of Magos, who had broken every rule in the Mechanicus' book? The only Magus said to have strayed into the diabolic and demonic and returned to the service of the Imperium. What would happen if he came for Belisarius Call, the only man in the Imperium willing to innovate? What if Trazyn heard of the oldest and most powerful Eldari Farseer since the War in Heaven? His time. What would the capture of Eldred do to the self-image of the Eldar? Would it collectively rouse them, combining the craft worlds to war? Or would it throw them back into the pitiful mourning that they have been wallowing in since their fall?
I'm actually surprised he hasn't done it yet.
What would happen if Trazyn heard of Gazgul Mag Uruk Thraka, potentially the first orc to evolve into a Krork since the Beast, and certainly the first two since Trazyn has awoken? A very viable target, for the Necrons hate and fear the Krork in equal measure. What better way to stilt their rise and add to his collection than to capture the Lord of Wars? What would happen if Trazyn decided his one Primarch trophy should be matched by a demon-raised one? Would Angron, Fulgrim, Mortarion, Magnus, or any of their ilk be safe? Or perhaps Keros Fateweaver, Kabanda, or even the War Master's beloved sword, Drachnien? Could even Abaddon gainsay Trazyn? Could agree.
Would the Chaos Gods allow this to happen? That one of their champions, if I can call them that, are to be abducted by Trazyn and then, you know, kept in stasis as prized possessions? Would they allow that to occur? I don't think so. I think they would, you know, send forces into that crypt and, you know, reclaim their champions, if I can say that. Yeah.
A demon? What if he decided that a risen Primarch, one that should be dead and one risen by a Xenos race no less, is a morsel he cannot live without being in his collection?
I mean, imagine. Robuta Gilliman abducted by this guy. Just imagine. The chaos that would occur. Oy.
Would Reboot Gilliman be safe? Or perhaps the truly immortal Primarch, the perpetual Vulcan? Can he find him? Would he then attempt again to gain the weapons of Vulcan as he has done before and try to collect the entire set? Or perhaps he aims even higher. For the ultimate horror, the ultimate blasphemy, the ultimate jewel in the crown. What if Trazyn the Infinite decides that the ultimate weapon of Ka, the first and only of his kind, the most powerful psyker of all and any time, is his next target?
And the Emperor can't do nothing. He cannot do anything. He's just in that chair, like this. I'm sure he can still use his psychic abilities, right? But I don't know if they'll work on a Necron. But, you know, essentially the Emperor will be a sitting duck. You'll just collect him. He'll just come into that room, activate that device that, you know, splits time, and then he will collect the Emperor and then leave. And the custodians won't be able to do anything. They'll be shocked, you know, they'll be in a state of shock, they'll be panicking, you know, wondering what happened. It's too late to do anything. The Emperor's gone. Hey.
What if he were to gather every last warrior, weapon and ship at his command, every last sinew of his strength for one great glorious raid? What if Trazyn decides he needs to to have in his collection, the Emperor of Mankind. Gentle listener, I have been Baldermort, your faithful servant. If you have enjoyed my introduction to Trazyn, the Infinite, and the Nihilak dynasty, then please consider liking and subscribing. I will be covering all of the dynasties and elements of the Necrons, along with, in time, the rest of the lore of the Warhammer 40K universe, and I would not want you to miss out.
Okay guys, that was Trazyn the Infinite, Warhammer 40K Necrons lore by Baldermort's Guide to Warhammer. Yeah, Trazyn and the Nihilak dynasty. Well, mainly Trazyn. This guy, like, I'm telling you right now, if this guy abducted these very important and key personnel from these different political factions across the galaxy, if he abducted them, right, there'll be utter chaos. Utter chaos. I think the Imperium of Man would be shattered if the Emperor was taken, because, you know, the warp travel will be virtually non-existent, or maybe difficult. I should say extremely difficult, because, you know, the Astronomicon won't be powered anymore. I don't even think the Primarch, what's his name again? Rubute Gilliman. I don't think he can sit on that chair and power up the Astronomicon. I don't think so. So yeah, it will be just be utter chaos, really. I'm just really surprised that no one is taking interest in this man, or not man, but this Necron, and, you know, taking the interest to killing him, because he's this dangerous. You know, he's very, very dangerous. I'm just really surprised. You know, the Eldar, the Necron tier, the Imperium of Man, they're not, you know, finding ways to bring an end to this man. Necron. Why do I keep saying it's a man? But yeah, that's Necron. Because really, the things that he can do and the abilities that he has with his advanced technology are very devastating. Yeah. But he's cool. He is cool, but very overpowered, I would also say. Oh wow. Okay guys, that's it for today, and if you liked the video, remember to give me a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell if you need to be up to date with my latest videos, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye bye.